And now, here's your host of Shaping Success, Wes Tankersley.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Shaping Success. I'm your host, Wes Tankersley. We got an awesome interview for you today. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do me a favor before we get to that. Subscribe, like, share, review. Make sure that you do all those things for me, because without your help, I cannot grow the show, and that is the whole thing. We need to reach more people. Today's guest is Nick Cavuoto. He's a speaker and entrepreneur. We're going to chat with him a little bit about what he does and how he created success and what he's doing to move forward every single day. Nick, thanks for hanging out with us. Welcome to the show.
What's up, brother? Thank you, man. Glad to be here. It's an absolute honor. So thank you so much for creating some space for conversation this morning.
Yeah, I appreciate you hanging out with us too. Like, this is one of those things that we do. The show is based on having, helping other people to realize that, they create their success. They build that is, and giving them some tools to help them do that. And you may have been through some things, and I may have been through some things, and just sharing that with other people and helping them find that success.
Love it, man.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, you're a speaker, you're an entrepreneur, you've done a lot of things. Give us a little background on what you do and what you're doing.
Yeah, man. Well, I think in the world that I see today, I see a lot of people who really care about doing something that matters. Most entrepreneurs that I talk to are people who just, even if they're not entrepreneurs yet and they're inspiring to be one, nobody wants to live an average life. Like, people want to do something that matters in the world, that's going to be remembered. And I think there's a lot of ways to find significance. You can hold up, a drive-through, and, you can be very significant, and the whole world will have their eyes on you. And at the same time, you could make a unique contribution by doing good things, by doing noble things, by exhausting your greatest good as an individual, and by just conquering the hill every day and asking yourself the deeper question of, what am I here to do? What am I here to accomplish? Who can I help? Who can help me on that journey? And I think that that's really what it comes down to. And I just see a lot of people who are wanting to make a unique contribution in the world and are struggling to find the clarity as to how. And so that's the hill that I chose to climb, was knowing that by me making a unique contribution in the world, I know that I give other people not only the activation, but almost the self-permission for them to go do the same thing. I love when people say, like, I knew at some point, like, if you could do it, I knew that I could do it too. Nothing gives me more joy than that. And so honestly, man, I'm just here to activate and inspire, people who are up to something. And I have this old saying, and I don't know, I'm going to keep it PG here for a minute, but you can let me know if it's okay to change that. But
you can say whatever you want. You're
epic.
Okay.
Okay, bro. You can't do epic shit with basic people.
Right.
I believe that. And I don't think that people are basic intentionally. And what I mean by that is, I love being around, people who are building something. There's this old saying, like, never get too far away from the fire that's just getting started inside of someone. And yeah, man, that's how I live my life. And I just want to be a catalyst for other people. And how I got there, we can talk about.
Well, where did it come from? I mean, that's kind of the thing. Like, where did this come from? Because no one ever has, like, some people are born with that desire, some people know that that's totally there, man. But they don't know what path to take. I mean, there had to be, like, for me, it was sports. It's like my coaches made this really big difference in my life that made me be prompt, be on time, be a hard worker, be those types of things, like in football and in sports and things like that. So where did it come from? What made you want to go down that path?
Yeah. Well, my dad was a drug dealer who found Jesus. So if that gives you any concept of, like, someone living the contrast of dark and light in their own world. He was dropped out of school. He has an 8th grade education at 13 years old. Like, he basically started selling drugs and did it till he was 30. And he had a moment that shifted in his life of where he made a decision to do life different. And I just commend him for that, of course. But he, my grandmother and his sister were going to a revival. This is like in the 70s,
Right.
And so this, for context for people, this is like, a big gathering of this person, like a speaker coming from out of town, and all these people want to go see him. And they were there super early. So my dad broke into the church because he's a criminal. So he broke in and they convinced him to stay, and it changed his life, and I love, in my world, being that interruption for a lot of people. Like, belief and encouragement are the thread that I think leads to the center of someone's heart, to give them the confidence, the assurance, or the belief, or the possibility that they can do life different. And so my whole life, my dad ended up going into ministry, and I'm basically a, pastor's kid who like grew up in a Pentecostal revival movement, who was sleeping under pews at midnight at 3 years old. So I've been around personal transformation, spiritual ascension, having people understand like the deeper things. And dude, listen, there was a lot of that was really difficult, like to come out of. And then there's a lot of it that's really significantly special. And I think we can all look in our own lives and go like, there's some shit that happened when I was a kid, or there's some experiences that I had that, we take the shit of our life and we turn it into gold. If so, we have the courage to sit with it and understand it. And I learned so much through that.
Was that like a,
Go ahead, yeah.
and sorry to interrupt you, but like I just, these questions pop in when we're going, and that's kind of the way this goes. But were you born when he had this epiphany, like, or was this after, or were you born after?
A few years after.
Okay. So when you say heavily Pentecostal, so my wife has kind of been that, I feel like it wasn't called Pentecostal, but she was kind of in the same type of thing. Like, and I've talked to a couple guests who have been in this heavily upbringing, like Chris Henderson from Three Doors Down his parents were Jehovah's Witness, which another one of those, like you can't do this, you can't do that. There's like really legalistic in those types of things. And I don't know if you're still involved in it or not. I would guess probably not, just based on the conversation that we're having right now. But I watched these people.
No.
I just watched these people that my wife, went to school with and interacted with, and the people that she grew up with. And there's two choices, right? And it sounds like you made the other choice, but it seems like when you're in a legalistic situation, when you're going to 3 church services, when they're telling you that you have to do this on Halloween and you got to go wear these types of clothes and do all these things, you can rebel and like be normal, not normal, but like normal in the sense of what everyday society is, or you could just waver. Like your dad was, he had that revival. He went from being a drug dealer to being a straight-laced ministry Christian type person, right? And then now all of a sudden, you're out of it. That path gives you two choices, right? It's whoosh, and I've seen it both ways. It's like, now maybe you go be the drug dealer because now you get into that stuff that you never had been exposed to, and you didn't have the opportunity, and you rebel, or you use it to build something.
Yeah, that's what happened in my life, man. I mean, I ended up my teenage years and stuff, and I was third kid, so like my brothers got most of the flack at 14. I remember my parents were like, please just don't die. But like, we're exhausted from having to deal with the things we dealt with. So to your point, with an environment, of course, my father's greatest fear is that we would turn out like he was. So the heavy protection, the heavy monitoring, the heavy micromanagement. I got lucky as the last kid where it was just like, just please don't die. Like that's where we're at. So like, just go do your thing, have fun, be smart. And that gave me a lot of permission, I think, to like, that's why being an entrepreneur, I think is so important for me, is to chart my own path, because I was given that permission so early in life to just trust my intuition, to trust the greater things of life. And that's really my message, is like to trust the greater things that are out there that are coming towards you, and trusting your intuition and allowing that to lead you forward. And so at 19, man, I had failed out of college twice. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And I asked my dad, I remember calling him, I was $60,000 in debt in college in South Florida, like just screwing around, right? I was like, Dad, I need to come home, man. And he was just like, there's always a place for you, dude. Like, come on back. We got you. And I asked him, what do I need to do in this season of my life? He's like, you need to go serve. Go help people. And when I was the most confused and when I was the most unclear, I found myself with a heart of service, just saying, how can I help? And I've rebuilt my entire life on that thesis, because after that, I went into ministry and grew a church from 1,000 to 10,000 people every weekend. My dad was out of ministry by then, but it was a really powerful thing of understanding like my unique genius and my superpower, given a lot of permission early in a business, running an 8-figure budget at 24. Like, that was very abnormal. And I had a lot of lessons learned, man. And so there's a whole, like, I've lived multiple lives in the span of just the last decade. But I'll tell you, man, the one thing that I learned was to be just so chase so hard after the conviction of why you're here. If you don't feel like you're making a unique contribution, there is a way to figure out what that is. I figured it out. 100 therapy sessions in a year. I mean, like, I went to town on solving it. And that's why I believe it's my greatest gift to humanity, is to help them figure them out so they can do more good shit.
Well, I think that that's very admirable, and you think about it, like I think of it in those terms. It's the same terms that you're talking about. Like, what I'm doing is like, serving someone, like trying to help them, you're basically a salesman of your product because you're trying to, your product is success, is motivation, is helping other people be better and being of service to them, like you said. And it's funny that you went from ministry to, I mean, I'm assuming you're not ministry anymore, but still wanting to do that,
No, dude, but
reach it on a
I'll tell you,
different level.
yeah, I do more ministry now than I ever did in a church.
Right.
Way more. Like with entrepreneurs, with people who are trying to find their unique purpose. I use modalities that blend the chakra system, teaching that blend, astrotheology, astrophysics. Like there's a modality that I leverage to help people find their uniqueness. And basically that would be considered like so taboo in any type of church environment, because they're like, well, you're leveraging these tools that they may not agree with. I'm like, if astrology is not agreed with in the church, that's fine. But don't forget the 3 wise men followed the stars in order to find Jesus.
Yep.
Like at the end of the day, like we have demonized, I think, society and certainly church. Like we all do this in life, of where if we don't understand something enough or we don't perceivingly agree with it, then we demonize it, whether it's a political opinion or whether it's a societal view or whether it's a freaking tweet or whether it's, talking about astrophysics. Like if these things are not understood, that it creates a sense of fear.
Right.
And for me, I'm like, no, I've already dove through the fear. So my goal is to activate people one by one so that they can do their greatest work. And I was certainly, like you said, bro, like when you said it, I was born with that. It is from the definition. Nicholas means victory of the people. My middle name means nobility. My last name means cave dweller, which the caves were where the prophets hid. Like I know why I'm here. I've done the work, and I'm here to help sailors who are lost at sea. Yeah. So I'm a beacon. I got to shine the light, right?
Well, dude, it's amazing. It's awesome because like when you're talking about it, like I feel like I do the same type of thing, but I do it like in a different level. Like I haven't gone, like you did the work. You're going in 100 days of therapy to try and figure out what's going on. I mean, it's being willing to expand and understand that maybe you're not right. Like have a different view, have a different opinion. Political or politics are one of those things. Religion is one of those things. Like you look at it, the path of religion or the path of politics is like you believe this way or you believe this way, and there's no in between, and that is a bunch of bullshit. There is an in between.
It sure is. Yeah.
The Bible is. I don't care who you are. You go to, I go to church and you go, I don't go as often, but I'm a believer, right? But you go and you hear we're searching for the person who says it to you the way you want to hear it. That's it.
Totally.
And they can say, and they can interpret that passage the whatever way they want. And you can look at the Bible and you can say, well, he parted the Red Sea, right? But what does that really mean? Did he really part the Red Sea or did he find, we don't know. We're just interpreting what someone wrote down millions of years ago or thousands of years ago. And any person can interpret that just like anything else in life. And so I don't know. I mean, I think really the big thing in the Bible is like, we have one person who judges us and it's not me. I don't judge you because That's guess true. What? I'm not the one who's going to make the decision. So
yeah,
it's weird. It's a weird
Dude,
thing to
true,
start
man.
when you think that, but you walk into an organized religion and that's all they're doing. They're judging you. Oh, what's he wearing? How many tattoos does he have? What's he, he was out drinking last night. I mean, who cares? It's a choice you made and you're the person who has to deal with that responsibility.
Yep. Dude, that's, being called a rebel is the greatest badge of honor that I'll ever carry in my life. Being the champion of the misfits brings me great joy. Being illogical and improbable, dreaming so big that it's ridiculous, going against what would be conventional wisdom. That's who I lead, the defiant, the different, the people who want to do life on their terms. And the ones who, I watched it. This is where I can just feel it in my body now, like both my arms, it's like chills running down my arms. But the truth is that there was a whole generation of kids who had their spiritual gifting awakened, and then they were ostracized and abandoned from the people who activated their gift. Yeah. And now they are rogue and they're on their own and they have a lone wolf mentality and they want to do shit that matters. And they don't understand the context of how to get it back because it's so scary to go back to the place of rejection. to go back to the place of like where you felt you had this greatest gift activated, but at the same time, like it's so out of your sphere of like possibility because you're like, I hate what that did to me. I hate what that did to my family. I hate the judgment that it came with. It's like, no, grab my hand. I'll run through the gates of hell with you so you can go get back that gem, that thing that was developed in you so that you can be that exquisite person, so that you can make that great contribution, because contribution requires first commitment. Like you've got to be committed no matter what. That's why when I said I went to therapy, I went 100 days of therapy over the last year. Like the reason why I did that was because I was committed. I'm like, I'm going to go all the way global, or like, I'd rather be dead. Like there's no in between, because I don't have an off switch there. And it's not about being known. It's about being effective.
Right.
I know what it's like to feel like you're on the outside when you used to be on the inside, and you used to be accepted, and you used to be like celebrated for your gifts. And now those gifts, you have them, but you don't know how to use them. That great mystery of life, I think, is just maddening. So that's why I get so passionate about it, man. Because I'm like, if I can get you committed, I can get you clear. If I can get you clear, I can help you have the courage to do it scared. Yeah. If you can do it scared, you'll activate a part of you that you forgot existed. And my God, I've just started to see it with people that I've been working with, man.
It's crazy because
dude.
It's nuts though, because that's the thing. Like we're afraid. We like living in the middle. We're okay with where we're at, and we don't want to challenge ourselves, and we don't want to be more. And I try to every single day think of the things that I can do that will make me better than it was the day before. Like I'm a salesman. Like my day job is salesman. Like I sell window coverings during the day. And my goal every single day is to close every single deal. And then once I get there, if I did, then it's like, what can I close from yesterday? Or what can I do different that if I didn't close that one, what did I do wrong? How can I change that? Reading books, having conversations like this. The reality of the whole situation is what are we? We're teachers. That's what it is. That is the greatest thing that you could ever be as a teacher, because you can teach someone to do something or help someone to do something or contribute, just like you said. And that's it, man. To me, that's what it's about. Helping other people, showing them that it's possible.
Dude, that's really powerful. What's your superpower?
That's it, man. I mean, to break it down and figure it out. I mean, I've just decided that this is it. Like I got one life to live, and I'm going to do everything that I can. I went down this path of like, just like you, I've been through a few different things. Like I started out, I was a pretty good athlete in high school. I got a scholarship to play football. I thought it was better than what I was. And then when I found out I wasn't, I just didn't want to do it anymore. So I basically can't even watch a football game anymore.
Wow.
But the thing is, though, is I decided I'm going to go into this, and everything that I go into, it's like right now I like my job. I mean, it's okay, but it is not fulfilling. It's not. It's like it pays the bills, and I can do it, and I'm good at it, and I'm going to try and be better because that's the way I am. I'm dedicated to whatever it is. But this is where it's at. This is where it's going to happen, and reflecting on what you did wrong and not giving up every single day. I mean, that's really it is. Like people think that, Grant Cardone says, well, you got to look at failure as a green light, not a red light, right? And that's it. It's like, it's not the end of the world, right? It's not because something didn't go the way you wanted it to. It's not the end of the world, but what can you do to change it? Without scientists having a hypothesis and testing it over and over and over again, a lot of things would not happen, right?
Yeah, and without the emotional blaming and shaming, of course.
Yeah. It's just crazy, man. It's one of those things that, like, if you can unlock that in your head, and that's what it is. That's what I want people to understand. You can unlock it. I mean, you unlocked it.
Wow.
Everyone unlocks it, right? If they can get past this mental barrier that failure sucks, and then use it as a lesson. What's the lesson? We're gonna get a divorce. Okay, what's the lesson that you learned if you're gonna get married again? What would you do differently? Because it obviously did not work in the first one, right?
Right.
Is it you? Is it them?
Yeah, dude,
is it a combination? What can you do to fix that? It's all about lessons.
Yeah, it's taking the ultimate personal responsibility. I met with a Taoist monk in February of this past year. Dude, it so feels like yesterday, bro. It was a 2 hour conversation that I say changed my life. And it really did. My wife and I we're married for 9 years. We have 4 kids, we lived in 3 cities. Like just because growth. It's been incredible. And we've been following the prompting of what we need to do, where we need to be.
Right.
And it just got to the point, man, of where it fractured really hard. That was what launched me into therapy. It got to the point where it was so tough. I've been doing internal personal development for 20 years. Mm-hmm. So like intentionally. So I am no stranger to the fact that I'm the problem, right? I don't even think about the other person because it does nothing. So if I take ultimate responsibility for myself and then my spouse takes ultimate responsibility for herself, then that's when you can create change. This guy showed me this little diagram one time. He said, like, if God's at the pinnacle at the top of the triangle, you're on one side, your wife's at the other side. The closer you get to God, the closer you get to each other. And what I realized was there's 2 forms of God. There's God, the idea of God, the guy in the sky with a big white beard. And so some people have that view. Then I think of like the renewed version, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. The more you know you, the more you know God.
Yeah.
Because you are attracting that part of you and connecting with that part of you. And from what you accept and you embody, there's no separation. We don't have, that's like the whole teaching of certainly the New Testament. There's no separation between us and God, or us and divinity. It's within us. That is literally, that's why Jesus got so pissed with the disciples when they couldn't calm the storm. He's like, you have so much power in you. Why are you waking me up? You can do this. Like, right? But we want to reject that part of us because we feel inferior and we feel separate. And we feel like it's not right to say that, like, we are one with God. Well, no, the Bible says it, so you might as well say it too. So here's the reality, and this is what I noticed. At any time in life, this is what David James Lees told me, who's one of my mentors in the UK. He said, anytime in life that you have an event that happens, so an event will happen in your life. Like, and I had an event back in July of last year that was just earth-shattering. You have an event that happens. If your emotion immediately follows, you're screwed. Because your emotions are the golden experience of life, but they also have such high sensitivity that if they go unfiltered, that's kind of like being life drunk, right?
Yep.
Like, you have no inhibitions, you have no filter. So what he said is, an event will happen in your life. Instead of immediately having an emotion, place your belief second. What do you believe? So when I lost $1 million in 2 days, when COVID hit, I had to replace my emotion of poor me, oh shit, right? Poor me just invites the whole victim, carousel of despair. So I had to say, like, this is happening for me. Thank you. And all of a sudden, dude, I started saying thank you to everything in my life. I didn't care how good it was, how bad it was. It didn't matter. I just started saying thank you. And dude, I'm telling you, that simple equation of having beliefs, I had 10 written down in a notebook. So anytime I would like have an event, that I was just like, like I just go to the thing and I just as quickly as possible go through it. I believe this is happening for me. I believe the people who are around me are pillars for my life. I believe that everything comes like in its time, in its season, and I'm accepting of all life lessons and experiences. Why? Because like the emotion of the pain of failure is so intense. If gone unchecked, like my life will just always be in despair, because you'll always know the size of the leader, bro, by the size of the arrows that they take. I believe that with 100% certainty. So like you, huge calling on your life. So what does that mean? You're going to face intense opposition. And if you're not filtering the emotions, or we, or people who are listening, we're not filtering those emotions through the beliefs of what we know is true. It's like, living in a war zone and leaving your front door wide open. Man, that alone, that one thing changed my life, dude.
That is very profound, because you honestly, like, you think about like what you're doing, right? Okay, so in the beginning there was a lot of stress that I put on, like, people just beat me down for what I was saying, like, oh, that's bullshit, whatever, this guy's fake, this is that, blah blah blah, whatever. Like, they hate on you, they tear you down. Well, number one, they're jealous of you because they're not doing it and they're afraid to do it. But number two, you give them the power by accepting what they're saying and taking it to heart. But if you can just forget about that, this is just like you said. It's as simple as this. I have one viral video on TikTok that hit like 110,000 views. I said, tell me you don't look your, like, I copied someone else. I was like, tell me you don't look your age without telling me you don't look your age. I'll go first. I'm 41. People always tell me I look younger. Not the response I got. And it destroyed me. It destroyed me.
Wow.
But I got, what did it teach me? And that's the thing. It's like, I got over that. I have 27,000 followers on TikTok now, but I got like 10,000 of them overnight. I got,
Wow.
900 good responses to all the ones that people were trashing me. And I was sitting there taking, what I did was I started going through each response, and you can do a video reply to it that was bad. And I was like responding back in anger because I was mad because they were making fun of me and they were telling me this and that and blah, blah, blah. I didn't want to take the video down because it was getting all this view, which is what I was set out to do, right? Like I wanted to get those views. That's why you post the video. What's one of the things is like, I'm posting this, I want to help people, but I also want to get views. I want people to come here. I want to reach more people. And the lesson was like, yeah, that's great. Did I want to reach people that way? Did I want to help people that way? I have 300 people probably that interact with me on a daily basis on TikTok, not on a daily, but like, so over the week or whatever, the same people that are great people that I got from that. But I realized that it wasn't worth my time. And you want the attention. Negative attention is attention. It may not be the attention you want, but it is, it's a tough thing. It's like, but taking the emotion out and just realizing that, as simple as that, saying like, I believe I look younger than I am, and just understand that. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. That's what I think. And that's a simple way of putting it, but it's the same thing. It's just crazy.
Yeah, dude, you're 100% right. But this is like came from what your thing you said about Grant Cardone too, man. Like, so from that experience and from like the failure's a green light, that's the belief. The belief is that failure's a green light. So when failure happens, event, when it's met with the belief that green light, now your emotion is excitement.
Yeah.
My mentor, David Meltzer, who's basically the real life Jerry Maguire, he said, if you knew that you got you were 86 no's away from $1 billion, how much more excited would you be every single time that someone said no? I was like, dude, oh my God.
Oh, that's great. That's mind blowing right there.
Mind blowing. So he said, like, start thanking the no's, start celebrating the no's, because you're that much closer to the yeses.
Right.
And that's the whole relationship with rejection, is like, we only want to be affirmed and accepted. And for most people, again, because what is the belief? Well, if they say yes, then it's just like you're finding that external validation of an internal source that needs to, we need to give ourselves hugs sometimes and say, you're a fucking badass. And I do that shit. I go in the mirror and I talk to myself and I'm like, you're here to be great. Like, get your shit together where you need to get your shit together, but go do your greatest work. I spend 45 minutes every morning doing affirmations around abundance, around alignment, around money, around my purpose. Like, unshakable, dude. That's why I showed up with conviction and power, and I can call people and be like, you need to come to my event. Like, I'm going to sign your ass up on the phone right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm convicted, because I know it's going to happen if they show up, because I've done the work.
Right. Yeah. If you can get in the room with them, you're going to convert, because that's all there is to it. Yeah. It's crazy. It's amazing. And again, like with the sales thing, it's kind of the same thing. Like I came into this whole thing. So I was a teacher before. I changed tires for 11 years. I went back to college, got 2 degrees, and taught for 4 years, and said, screw this. I'm not doing it anymore, because the education system is a freaking mess. And I'm like, I'm going to go bet on myself, and I'm going to go do this full-time sales thing. And it's 100% commission. If I don't sell nothing, I don't make money. But I had to bet on myself and understand that I was good enough that I was going to make it happen. And I compared myself to people all the time, right? Like, this other salesman's got bigger sales, this and that, blah, blah, blah. What's he doing different? I'm going to be better than him, whatever. Like, compete with him. In the moment that I decided that what he was doing doesn't matter, and I was doing the best me, and I was taking care of myself, the sales just come in. And now I'm the top salesman in the crew. And the fact of the matter is that I just believed in myself, what I was doing, and I'm always working to make it better. And that's what happens. I'm the most profitable one, and I have the most sales. Everyone else, lower.
Dude, congratulations. That's freaking amazing.
But that's it though, right?
Yeah,
like, I mean, you have to believe in yourself, and you have to understand, like, an entrepreneur who says he's an entrepreneur has to do the work. And that's the difference between the ones that are successful and the ones that are not. It's like, I can sit here, this podcast, I've thought about not rebranding, but shifting a little bit. And the shift is because the numbers aren't where I want them to be. And I've looked inside myself, and it's not maybe, it is. The problem is me. Now, what can I do to make that problem be better? How can I make a better production? How can I reach more people? How can I engage more people and give them something more of value than what I'm giving them? Like, this conversation is driving it. This is this is a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, like, when you
Dude,
get when
It's
you
like,
get
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
stimulation, it's just like it's when you get and I believe that every time you get stuck with something, like I had two choices when I got this email from, I don't know who it was. Someone sent me an email, hey, Nick wants to talk to you. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like some of them I blow off and some of them I'm just like, And it was like, yes. And there was a reason why I said yes. And there's a reason why you're here. And there's a reason why we're having this conversation. And it's mind blowing.
Mm.
It's just,
Dude, yeah, I feel the same way, bro. This is awesome. And there's something that you mentioned about comparison. This is another thing that David taught me. Two of my mentors are both named David, so I always have to like specify.
well,
David James Lee.
did you say David Metzler? He's a big dude, isn't
Yeah.
he? He's a,
Yeah. I mean, he was the biggest sports agent in the world. I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
I've heard that name before. Like I know I've strolled by and I've seen his stuff, but like you don't, that's crazy.
I'll drop this here for you because nobody knows this yet. So I have an event that's coming up in the first weekend in February. It's called AlignCon. It's all about aligning you to your life and your work and your individual purpose and what you want to achieve.
Uh-huh.
And David Meltzer is going to be speaking there. No one knows that. I haven't announced it anywhere, but David Meltzer is going to be speaking, which is going to be insane. I mean, this is a $100,000 fee speaker. So if people want to go to the event, I'm like, yo, you need to show up. And he talks about the quantum physics of like manifestation and setting intentions and like how to get and achieve the life that you want. But he comes at it from the form of math and science, and then abundance and faith. So he's got a really beautiful blend of the science and the spirit part of it. And I mean, he's changed my life in more ways than I could ever explain, because it's not just from the way that I think, it's the relationships that I have, him coming and speaking at the event, the opportunities that he's giving me. He was with Jay Shetty the other day, and he's like, the only thing I kept thinking about is, where's Nick? Why are you not here with me?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, whoa, dude. Like, I mean, so mega confirmation, but I had to do the inner work. I had to accept myself. I had to have my own self-worth to match the frequency of someone who would be like, I want to bring you on the biggest stages in the world with me. And I'm like, okay, if you want to. Like, I'm very like, whatever. Before I would have been like, I have to because I need the validation. Now I'm like, I just want to be effective. If it's going to be effective, if there's a soul in the back of the room that I can reach into and speak purpose in life into someone who might commit suicide tomorrow, then I'll go. But that's my why. Has nothing to do with me. I'm very much an empty vessel at this point, with a lot of abundance and a lot of opportunity to go do good shit because I put in the work and God has a great calling on my life. But I want to mention this thing really quick. Anytime that you are in comparison, criticism, or judgment of yourself or other people, comparison, criticism, and judgment, you are in basically like nuclear ego. It's a really good, easy way to separate if you're operating in spirit and in alignment, or out of alignment and in your non-authority, which happens through criticism, comparison, and judgment. Yep. I know when I get really bitter, and that bitterness comes from comparison, criticism, or judgment, I know that when I get there, like I'm way out of alignment and I cannot create, like I'm frustrated. I'm, like I feel like I'm out of alignment. I can't find my flow. And this has just been, again, another picture I can paint that's so easy. The opposite. So those are red light emotions. Yep. Red light emotions are criticism, comparison, judgment. On the other side, the green light emotions are truth, honesty, integrity. I look at what you've done with your business and with your success in sales, and I go like, what did you decide to do? Be truthful about reality. This guy's beating me, but I want to beat him. The second thing, that's the truth. The second thing is the honesty. The honesty part, probably like you dealing with like, okay, well, what do I need to do? If I'm being ridiculously honest with myself, what do I need to do in order to create a change here? Yeah. That's the second part, and it leads you to action. Integrity is doing the right thing when nobody's looking. Yeah. And it's not just the integrity of like, making sure that you're hitting your sales numbers or like hitting all your numbers and, measuring your accountability and like making sure that like you're doing the right shit. It's also the integrity of being a good father, and doing the best that you know to do, and being a good husband and doing the best that you know to do, being a good son and doing the best that you know how to do. Like it blends in all the different areas of life. But if we stay out of criticism, comparison, and judgment, we'll live in the promised land. That's the great divide, by the way, with like the Red Sea, right? That's the great divide. Yep. Is like criticism, comparison, judgment is the desert. The promised land is truth, honesty, and integrity. And if you can live in those virtues, not values, they're literally spiritual virtues. They're ways of being. They're the compass pinpoints of life. And ask yourself, if someone judges you, is this the truth? Are they being honest? Are they acting in integrity? And those people did not act in integrity. And so at the end of the day, it's like, well, then it's bullshit. And you just move on. Right. But these are the practices, man, that like, these are the little nuggets after experiencing so much loss, so much grief, so much frustration, so much bitterness, so many 2 a.m., 3 a.m. nights, so many conversations about divorce, lawyers hired. I mean, dude, everything. I could lose a relationship with my kids, my wife, my business, everything. And these little nuggets, these little truths are the things that literally saved my life. So,
I just like, I have to say, like, I mean, you really think about it. You think about everything that you're saying, and like, I've used that towards my business, but I need to use that towards more than just that. Because how do you feel when you start looking at what the other person is doing? It makes you feel like shit, because it makes you negative. It makes you want to just correct whatever you're doing to fix, to match whatever that is, and instead of doing it the other way. And I need to learn to do that 100%.
Well, here's
life,
exactly
not just my job.
Yes, I'll do it 100%. But this will transform. Like, this brings it so centralized to the individual of your human experience. David James Lees, he 45 years as a psychologist, and then he's now a Taoist monk. I mean, so like, he blends again science and spirit, really beautiful. And here's what he told me. He said, "Nick, stop saying I feel." I said, "What?" He's like, "You keep saying I feel. You're stuck in your old story. The old story has to survive. It wants to survive. It doesn't have to survive. It wants to survive desperately, because it just keeps running, and that's your conscious, like 95%, like just how your unconscious just runs your life. Like, that's the thing that keeps going, is poor me, poor me. I got attention a lot as a kid when I was in pain. So automatically, and when I was abandoned. So automatically, when I'm abandoned and in pain is when I get looked at. And so I learned how to find those things. Now I tell the story about the hardship, but also the redemption. Yeah. And so the redemption for me on that part was, instead of saying I feel, because we can be all up in our feelings. It is the golden experience of life, but let's protect them, right? I feel. Here's what I chose to do. You would say, "You're saying I feel. Stop saying I feel." I say, "Okay, what do I say? I think, I choose, or I believe." Anytime you want to say I feel, catch yourself and go like, no, because automatically our old story, that's how I know that I press play on the tape, is I feel, especially when it's going to a place that's like pain, hurt, anguish, suffering, is, you can identify by feel. If I'm like, I feel so excited to be at Disney World, that's not suffering. Like, you can feel the joyous experiences of life. But if you're feeling the trauma and the pain and the weight and the depression and the oppression and the frustration and the anger and the bitterness, if you're feeling those elements of life, stop saying I feel and start saying I think. Take fucking ownership. Yeah. Go like, I think that I look like whatever. Dude, it's, for me, that's been a big conversation for me. I moved to Nashville, like, I don't know, 3 months ago. I've gained 30 pounds since I moved here. I'm like, damn, this whole, like, butter in the food in the South, man, they're not joking. Yeah. And so I've had some like moments of where I'm like, oh man, my pants don't fit the way they need to. Or I'm on TV, I do stuff on TV, I do stuff online, like content creation, whatever. And I'm like, I love myself, but like, I want to love myself deeper, to the point of where I care more about that self-care. Yeah. Self-love is good. I accept who I am, but I also want to be better. And so I started having that conversation, instead of being critical and going like, man, you look like shit. Like, my eyes were puffy and like my face, right? And I just started making a decision to go like, I love you just the way you are, but you have a responsibility to do better. The truth is, you kind of look like shit. Yeah. And the other truth is that you don't have to. And it's a conscious decision to put yourself first. Stop grinding so hard at the things that you feel like you need to prove. And just assess your life where you're grinding. This is the whole be honest with yourself. And then just like, do the right thing, man. So if you need to go to the gym, do it. If you need to go take a walk every day, just do it, man. Like, just make the decision to choose you. Everything else is going to be okay.
Well, the other thing is too, is like, you're asking for someone to give you validation. I feel like I'm fat. I think I'm fat. I know I'm fat. I don't need to tell you that I feel like it, because you're going to tell me, oh no, you're not. You look great.
Right. The
or you're an extreme badass. I mean, like, you're gonna say, if you say I feel, that you're looking for someone to feel sorry for you. You're looking for someone to give you validation of what you're thinking, and you're really thinking it. So obviously there's something not right. Like, I mean, I'm the same way. Like, I've had weight issues my whole life. I had gastric sleeve surgery. I've gained, 30 pounds back since I lost 100 and whatever. But the fact of the matter is that nothing is going to change without me changing.
Right.
It has nothing to do. I have a choice. The choice is stay how I am. You know, I mean, I always make excuses because that's really what it is. It's like
Mhm.
I was sitting in the doctor's office the other day with a physical, and I had to listen to him tell me that I'm overweight, and I am
Mm.
overweight. But you know what? When I was in high school, I weighed 260 pounds. I weigh 284 pounds now. I weighed 350 something. So
Wow.
I've been on all these aspects of what it is, and then like you try to convince yourself, well, I'm 42 years old and I'm 24 pounds more than what I was in high school, so it's not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the thing, though. That's the gamut you go through, and it is. It's like,
Mm.
when did I feel my best?
Mm.
When I was 230 pounds, and so that's what I'm chasing. You know, like to the point where
That's it, man.
I took this picture on my phone of me when I was 230 pounds, and it's on my phone, so I look
Wow.
at it every single freaking day. And I mean, I need to do more. Like, I mean, it started out like it's been 110 days, I think, that I've got on because I wasn't exercising. And I know that
Yeah,
exercise
dude.
isn't
Yeah.
the point, but it is something that convinced me to shift what I was doing. I was getting up at 5 o'clock every morning, and I was getting on my iPad and playing games for an hour and
Mhm.
going through social media and doing all that stuff. Like, I need to make a change.
Integrity.
I need to get up
Ask
on.
yourself the integrity that
Oh,
homeboy had on your phone,
yeah, exactly. Well, I
and
have
that's
that.
the answer.
I mean, I had this integrity epiphany at one point too, because like it was 30 days in, I got on the bike, I ended up getting up early because I shipped the 5 to 4:30 because I want to get the 30 minutes in before 5, and that was
Mm-hmm.
making that shift. No more games on my phone, you know, more of what do I need to conquer? What do I need to do? What do I need to accomplish? So I'm going to get through the social media aspect is like promoting this podcast, trying to get things out there. So I need to spend time on that instead
Yeah.
of screwing around. So I'm going to get up at 4:30. Well, I ended up getting up at, I can't remember what it was. I was getting up at 5, but I set the alarm for 5 at that point, and I ended up getting up at 4:35 or something like that. Got on the bike, hit the timer. My alarm is still set for 5. The alarm goes off, but the sound is the same as the alarm is the timer. And I thought, oh, I'm done.
Mm.
I get off the bike. I walk inside and, you know, go start making my coffee and doing all the other stuff I do after I exercise, and realize that my alarm went off and I had 15 more minutes to do on the bike, but I thought I was done. And then I was like, 2 choices. I told people that I was going to exercise for 30 minutes every single day on my bike, at least. That's what I was going to do. Do I go back out there and get back on the bike? Or do I just continue doing everything that I was already starting to do? I went and got my ass back on that bike because I could not live the rest of my day knowing that I didn't do what I said I was going to do. And that's the integrity thing. Like, I mean, that's a simple thing, but I could not do it. Like, I had the water boiling, I had the coffee poured, and I was like, shit.
Yep.
And I went back out there and I did that. I did those 15 minutes. I mean, I got it done because I couldn't live with myself if I didn't. And there's too many people in this world who could just say, screw it, I'll do it tomorrow. But
Yeah.
I couldn't do that with myself. So it's a tough one.
Wow. Dude, wow. I'm just blown away. I mean, because that's the courage element, man. Like, you can be really clear. You can be really committed. And the question is, do you have the courage to do it? Do it when it's hard. Do it when it's cold. Do it when you're afraid. You know, to do it when no one's watching.
Yeah.
Right? To do the right thing. Like, and that's just what most people don't have, the integrity. But I think the integrity part, and this is the stage 4 in like my C's of like getting to your unique contribution. Stage 4 is conviction. Once conviction, you have that fire in your belly to do it. And that's followed by integrity because you're already willing to do the things that most people won't do.
Right.
And conviction is contagious. When people ask me like, dude, how have you been ridiculously successful in business? I tell them all the time, I'm like, it has to do with my level of certainty. Certainty equals cash flow in my world.
Mm-hmm.
So how certain can I be? I'll tell you this. As a person, I can be confident. I can be pretty sure. When I measure my ability as an individual person and as a spiritual being, and I align the two, absolutely unstoppable.
Yeah.
So like combining my spiritual identity with my personal identity is where the one becomes 2. And that's the one, like the shift from 1.0 to 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the software upgrade. Like, I give people the instructions on how to upgrade the software. And when that shift happens, the two become one, but the one becomes a two. That's the concept, is you're twice as strong. You have twice as much, you have twice as much integrity, you have twice as much certainty. And that's the thing that people are looking for in a world that is just blown by the wind to the left and to the right. They're looking for an anchor. They're looking for stability and in the storm, and to be safe and secure, but also to like do something that matters. So like safety and sovereignty and significance are all aligned, but like we have to take them one step at a time.
Yep.
And I knew I couldn't be out there doing my greatest work and championing other people like if I had my own mess. Dude, I vaped for 5 years. 5 fucking years, bro. No one knew. Nobody knew. And at the end of the day, I was like, there's no integrity in this. And so I stopped. And my wife was like, we had talked about it and stuff. She's like, because she knew that like I was done. Like that, a lot of times this is what happens. Like when you're in the desert and you're going through really hard shit in your life, you'll pick up some bad habits. Okay. When you're in survival mode, you talk about the human experience, you will learn some shit about yourself that you didn't even realize you would ever do. Like I had never touched nicotine in my life. And then, so out of nowhere, this thing popped and then it just became a habit. And the thing that I look at is like integrity for me was like when my cousin said he was a college athlete, 5-time award-winning college athlete. And he said, dude, I work at a burrito shop now after school, $125,000 of student stuff, like whatever. He's working at a burrito shop. He's like, is this it? Bro, that question, again, shifted my life in a huge way.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't have the integrity to do the hard things, I didn't have the integrity to tell him, no, this isn't it, and you can be more. My brother's an addict. He's been an addict for 11 years. If I don't conquer that thing, I don't have any integrity to tell him that he can do it too.
Right. What the hell are you doing? I mean, this was a big thing with me when I was a PE teacher when I started out, because I was that 350-pound guy teaching kids to be active and be exercise, and this is important. And they're looking at me and they're going, yeah, right, you exercise. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's it. If you can't do it yourself, how can you expect other people to do it?
That fire will burn, man, but it will literally shift you into so much goodness. Jordan Peterson. What incredibly stupid things am I doing in my life that are absolutely destroying my human experience? Yep. There's usually one or two things. And I asked myself the question and I made a shift.
Yep. That's exactly it, man. I would, this conversation could go on forever. And unfortunately, I have to go to work.
Yeah, dude,
I'll tell you what,
man.
though, man.
I love it.
I've got a lot to think about today, and I just can't wait to get this out. It's almost like I'm not going to read. I want people to hear it, so I'm going to wait until after. But it's mind blowing, man. I truly appreciate you reaching out. Like I said, I feel like this happened because it needed to. So
yeah, dude, I agree, man.
Hey,
you're
why
doing
don't
incredible things, man. You're on, bro.
I appreciate it. I enjoy it. It gives you that renewed focus, right? And to think like, I mean, I'm gonna think that every single time I feels like something, I'm gonna, and yeah.
I think awesome. I choose I believe. Yeah.
What's that? Yeah,
I think I choose I believe.
Exactly, 100%. Well, what do you got going on? Where can people find you? What tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So people can find me online, at Nick Cavuoto everywhere, basically anywhere on social media. Just look up my name, come say hello. February 2nd and 3rd in Nashville, Tennessee, we're going to be hosting AlignCon. And if you're an entrepreneur, a business professional, like no matter what lane of life you're coming from, this is all about aligning your unique abilities with your life and your work. And so this is what I do. I activated the 2.0 version of people. And this is not like, some personal development conference that just is going to like leave you high and dry and feel amplified for a minute. You actually are going to get contextual truth about your life. And I'll tell you this, because this is what people say to me. I have never been so seen in my life. I've never been so understood in order for me to go do my greatest work than when I collaborated with Nick. This is something that just seems to be the trend. So here's the concept. The things that you believe about yourself to be true, but you have trouble defining and actually like grabbing at them to go like, that's what it is. That's what I do. I create that context for people, because those anchors, right, are the things that are required in order for us to stay safe during the storm, because life will absolutely bring its storms. But what we need is the safety, security, and then the opportunity to go do our greatest work. And so that's what I do with people. And I use a very unique way of doing that. And I'll do live demonstrations. Some of the people in the crowd will be able to do like a full session with me on stage. It's going to be a ton of fun. So February 2nd and 3rd in Nashville, you can go to nickcavuoto.com/align, and you can find AlignCon 2023. And dude, I would love for you to be there. It'd be amazing to meet you in person, just to give you a big old hug and just celebrate your success, man. And for any of your listeners and people who want to come check it out, I would be more than happy to host you, and we're gonna have a ton of fun together. David Meltzer will be there speaking. A couple other speakers will be there as well. So
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be dynamite, bro.
Yep. All right, man. Well, I really appreciate it, Nick. This is not the conversation that I expected to have, but it turned out being exactly what I needed. And I think a lot of people are going to get a lot out of this. So I really appreciate you taking the time, man.
So welcome, bro. Bless you and your fam. Much love
Thank
to
you so much.
All right, man. We'll see you. Bye.
All right, everyone. Well, that is the end of the show. Such a great episode. Really appreciate Nick hopping on here. You know, finding success in yourself and finding that inner peace is really what is very important. And being able to look at it and remember, you know, when you feel it's thinking and you think it, you got to take care of it. If you're watching this, you are a success warrior. If you're watching this, you're a success warrior. Until next time, I challenge you to find the shape of your success.